Have you ever wondered if people are lying to you, or do you sometimes want to win arguments? Well, today we are going to break down live the presidential debate between Uncle Joe Biden and Big Papa Trump. And the reason we're going to do this is we're going to examine frame controls. That is the meaning around your words that you say. And if you have the right frame, you can win any argument. If you have the wrong frame, you'll definitely lose an interaction. It can make people love you and adore you or hate you, even if you're telling the truth. And it's so important in today's day and age. Look around at the world around you today. It's crazy. You know, capitalists versus liberals. You got blacks versus all races. You got people thinking you're lying about business. You got so much stuff happening in the world. Protests everywhere because frame control is what matters here. So I'm going to break this down for you here in the video today. I truly feel like your life is going to be in trouble if you don't know this. If you don't understand frames, you're constantly going to be controlled by other people. So this is not going to be your typical BuzzFeed article or mainstream information, okay? I'm really going to go deep and unplug you from the matrix. And there's probably nobody more qualified to teach this. Who am I? My name is Madison. For the past decade, I've been a student of social dynamics. In fact, I've been teaching it professionally, and I am a certified cognitive behavioral therapist. I've been traveling around the globe doing this with tens of thousands of people face to face and millions online. So let's jump into the video of the presidential debate. This is going to be from NBC. It's called Watch Top Moments from the First Presidential Debate.
How you doing, man? I want to make sure.
Graduated last in your class, not first in your class.
I want to make
Mr.
sure.
President.
See, so even right there up the top, right? What happens is he interrupts Joe's pattern. Joe has a bunch of things he wants to say, he wants to communicate, and Trump just dives in. You can even call this steamrolling, right? He just goes just over whatever Joe's saying. It doesn't even have to relate. He's just breaking the pattern of whatever Joe's saying. He could talk about anything, and it doesn't even matter because he's just trying to like stir him up and get him confused.
Can you let him finish, sir?
No, he doesn't know how to do that. He has,
You'd be surprised.
You pick.
You'd be surprised.
So right here you see Trump actually laughs at the moderator and Joe. He's showing a frame that he doesn't really care very much about what's happening. He's actually disrespecting the format of the debate and Joe's answers and the questions. And, you know, the person who usually takes a frame less seriously is going to be the winner of that frame. You know, can you imagine if like you want to go on a date with somebody and that person takes a date less seriously than you and you're kind of stressed out if the date's going to happen? So automatically that person's in control. They have power because they care less.
The wrong guy, the wrong night at the wrong time.
Listen, did you use the word smart? You graduated either the lowest or almost the lowest in your class. Don't ever use the word smart with me. Don't ever use that word.
So that's actually crazy what happened right there, okay? So Biden has a permission to talk. It's his time to talk, but Trump says, go ahead, right? He gives him permission to do his own thing. It's like if you were gonna stand up, I'm like, you can stand up and leave now. Even though you were gonna stand up and leave, I'm giving you permission to do it, which is a huge power move. Anything you were naturally gonna do, I'm just giving you permission. So it's like, you can watch this video, you can blink your eyes, you can breathe for a moment if you want to. You could think about what I'm saying, and as you think about what I'm saying, you realize that I'm talking about what you're thinking. Isn't that crazy, right? I'm just narrating what you're going to do anyways, which is a huge, huge move, a very, very big power play.
Vote now.
You're gonna pack the
Make
court?
sure you, in fact, let people know
He doesn't want
you're a
to answer the
senator.
question.
I'm not going to answer the question
Why wouldn't you answer that
because
question?
the
You wanna
question
put a lot
is
of
the
new
question
Supreme
is.
Court-
All right, what happens here is threads. There's a conversational thread that Biden is on. He's talking about one thing. And then Trump jumps in and creates a completely different conversational thread. Then he says to Joe Biden, why are you not talking about my conversation? And derails Biden completely, all right, to this thread. If you're having a conversation with somebody, let's say an argument about the trash, okay? And they're saying, you never take out the garbage. And you say, I took it out last Thursday. And they say, you don't care about me. If you start going to you don't care about me, you're essentially just like talking about the person's emotions in their thread, not about the facts of what's happening. So people do this when they're mad at each other. When they feel like they're losing that argument, they create a new argument for you to get mad about.
Just as
The
radical
question-
left.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen, who is on your list?
You folks at home, how many of you got up this morning and had an empty chair at the kitchen table because someone died of COVID? How many of you were in a situation where you lost your mom or dad and you couldn't even speak to them? You had a nurse holding a phone up so you could, in fact, say goodbye.
You would have lost far
How
more
many
people.
This is the same man
It's
who
all
told
set
you
up.
by Easter, this would be gone away. By the warm weather, it'd be gone. Miraculous, like a miracle. And by the way, maybe you could inject some bleach in your arm, and that would take care of it. This is the same man.
That was said sarcastically,
that was
you know that.
40,000 people a day are contracting COVID. In addition to that, about between 750 and 1,000 people a day are dying. When he was presented with that number, he said, it is what it is. Well, it is what it is because...
Very key thing here to happen. I don't know if you saw it. It was very, very intentional. Trump doesn't jump in here. Now, why does he not jump in here at the number of deaths? Or why does he not jump in at how many people are sick? Why would you not do that in an argument? What's the benefit of not jumping in there? Well, you'd be jumping in at a really, really bad time. Essentially, you'd be jumping in when the conversation is going south and there's details in the thread that you don't want to continue. So let's say if Joe Biden was talking about, the amount of jobs created, he would jump in on there, right? Like for sure, you would jump in. That's a thread you want to continue, but you don't even want to add to the negative emotion of what's happening, talking about deaths. You don't want to add to that emotion, so you don't jump into that thread. It's like, imagine you're talking to somebody at work, okay? And your boss is talking about a project that went well and a project that went bad. Well, if you continue talking about the project that went bad, all the negative emotions of that bad project are going to be associated to you because you keep talking about it. In a dating context, what does that look like? You're on a date. You're talking to somebody about their breakup, okay? Their last breakup. You get into this 10-minute conversation about their last breakup. It's like, it's great to know about things like that. It's great to understand what happened to them. But if you get into a long conversation about it, all of a sudden that person on a date is sitting there with you and you guys are having a negative topic with negative emotions associated to that. And they may leave that date thinking about those negative emotions associated to you. You didn't do the breakup. You didn't cause a breakup. You were not a part of it. But because you talked about it so much, you can get drawn into it and they can associate those emotions to you.
But are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland?
Sure,
are you
I'm
prepared to
do
specifically
do it?
Well, go ahead, sir.
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right wing.
So what are you saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see peace.
Then do it, sir.
Say it.
So many things are happening here, all right? So Trump is so used to not taking other people's frame. He's so used to standing in his own frame, his own beliefs, the way he sees the world, the way he sees things. And he doesn't want to take a victim frame. He doesn't want to take the frame of being wrong. So he can't even answer the question, because by accepting a question from the narrator and accepting a question from Joe Biden, he's accepting their frame. So he can't do that. So what does he do is he creates his own question or own subject to talk about. Because if you accept your opponent's question, you're ultimately losing, right? Now, in real life, there's no way you can solve a situation. There's no way you can solve an argument. There's no way you can come to a solution in real life like that. It just wouldn't work, you know? You go to your boss, you're like, hey, I want to talk about a raise. And they're like, let's talk about the project from 4 weeks ago. It's like, okay. Or like, let's talk about lunchtime. What are you doing with your lunchtime? It's like, well, that's not really relevant, okay? You can't come to a solution if both sides are not looking at what's really happening. So Trump is so used to not taking other people's frames. It's like, he can't get to the solution here. So he has to make up his own question to answer his own question. Which is really, really interesting. In a dating context, it'd be like somebody goes, hey, where do you want to take me for dinner? And you say, what kind of parks do you like? I really feel like going for a walk in the park. It's like you're not even answering where you want to go for dinner or what you want to eat. It's just like, I like walks in the park. Let's do that. So yeah, you can kind of sometimes arrive at a conclusion, but not very often are you going to have a result that's beneficial to both parties.
My son was in Iraq. He spent a year there. He got the Bronze Star. He got the Conspicuous Service Medal. He was not a loser. He was a patriot, and the people left behind there were heroes.
Really?
And I resent.
Are you talking about Hunter? Are you talking about Hunter?
I'm talking about my son, Bo Biden. You're talking about.
I don't know Bo. I know Hunter.
Yeah,
Hunter got thrown out of the military. He was thrown out, dishonorably discharged.
That's not true. He wasn't dishonorably.
Cocaine use. And he didn't have a job until you became vice president. Once you
None
became
of that
vice
is
president,
true.
he made a fortune in Ukraine, in China, in Moscow,
That is simply
and various
not
other places.
true.
He
My
made
son,
a fortune.
my son,
And he didn't have a job.
my son, like a lot.
All right, so here Joe Biden actually kind of loses the frame a little bit, all right? Trump says, your son was thrown out of the military and dishonorably discharged, I think he says, right? And then Joe Biden says, he wasn't dishonorably discharged. He focuses on the detail, but he doesn't answer the big part, right? He just focuses on the detail of it. Because he kind of goes to the detail to disagree with the detail, he loses the frame. It would be better that he set up his own frame. So in your personal life, this might look like you and your friends make plans to go to a movie, okay? You got the movie plans, it's 7 p.m., it's at the cinema, you've kind of communicated it, and you know what movie you're gonna see. And maybe you haven't said it to your friend, but you know the time and place are showing up. And your friend goes, yeah, I know I didn't show up, and I know I didn't go to the right cinema, but you never said which movie. It's like they try to catch you on a detail, rather than just being like, all right, what can we do to move forward? How can we solve this? So in your life, that's what you want to do. You want to find a way to move forward. How can we move forward? How can we solve this? What can we do here? How can we come together? How can we work it out? Like constructive sentences, ultimately to win conversations. So the way that Joe actually could have won this frame is when Trump's saying, your son was dishonorably discharged from the military. Joe could have said, hey, I hear what you're saying, and I don't necessarily disagree with you, but here's something you don't know. And it, boom, new information, right? And that would throw him off. So it makes the previous point not even relative. You go on to the second point.
A lot of people we know at home had a drug problem. He's overtaken it. He's fixed it. He's worked on it, and I'm proud of him.
But why was he
proud of
given
my
tens
son?
of...
Oy vey, what a video. I don't know about you, but I got a headache watching that. Some key takeaways: gaslighting, making the other person feel like they're absolutely crazy. You make them feel like what they're thinking and what they saw didn't happen. Trump is great at that. He's actually amazing at that. You might experience it in some, unfortunately, toxic relations in your life. You had a relationship where somebody says to you, that's not what happened. And you're like, I was right there when it happened. And they make you feel like you're crazy, like it's your fault for even imagining it. So the other frame is bulldozing. Be aware of bulldozing your life. People that aren't even listening to what you're saying, they're just heading through with another narrative. They're cutting off your thread and going with a brand new thread. They're not even hearing or receptive to what you're saying. This can be very, very dangerous. If you're around people that are in your workplace that are doing it, or you find you do it yourself in an argument, be aware of it. You might want to get it under control because it doesn't help get to win-win solutions. Again, frames are so important. They set the dynamic between you and another person. But don't risk it all just for the frame. Don't ruin a relationship just for the frame. Don't disrespect your employee just because of the frame. Don't go into a dating situation thinking, do I have the frame over my significant other? Don't think like that, because you can get so obsessed with them that it takes away the juice and richness of your life. And also importantly, you're not going to learn anything. If you're always right, you're always dominating, you're not going to learn. So be aware of people that are like that, because it's really hard to get close to them and have an authentic relationship. If you want to learn more about communications, I highly recommend, this is not just the first part, you can continue your study on it. I actually have a free 7-day conversation challenge. In that challenge, you're gonna learn how to talk and talk forever, how to never run out of things to say. Most importantly, set the frame that works in your favor, okay? And that challenge is happening right now. You can click the link down below, either in the description or the comment section. It's gonna take you to the challenge, and you can get started right away. It's 100% free, and it's guaranteed to have an impact in your life. After people do the challenge, I'm hearing amazing things from them. They can express themselves freely. They know how to summon their best parts of their character, and they're not ashamed to express it. They can say confidently, and also they understand when they're being manipulated in conversations. They're able to see when people are telling them the truth. And as you know, it's so important. The world is in chaos right now. It is my duty and mission to help people with this, because if they don't understand how they're being manipulated, not told the truth, and lied to, then I'm really scared to see where the world's going to continue to go, because it's a slippery slope and we're heading down it fast. All right, so click the link, join the challenge, and I'll see you on the inside. If you haven't already, subscribed to the channel, like the video, share it with a friend, and until next week, keep in touch and don't be a stranger. Cheers.